Oh man, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? I have to do this. I have to do this pretty in the most wicked way possible. Actually, let me see if I can turn the speaker on now. There we go. There we go, man. Because I was like, I couldn't hear the theme. I couldn't hear the intro. So I'm just sitting here struggling, like Jesus Christ. Like, what am I gonna do here? I'm like, I can't hear a single thing here. So actually, just to double check, because obviously I come in here unprepared, as one should. Oops, nope. Let me do that. All right, let me do this. Hold that. Press that as well. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. We got audio. I feel a little bit better now because I was getting a little scared. I was like, what am I gonna be able to hear? I was like, it's gonna be dead silent on my end. But look, hello all and welcome to the Heel Turn Podcast. I'm your host, Isaiah Jackson Jr. Of course, this is the Heel Turn 30. We just going in for 30 minutes doing our review on Raw last week. Of course, still have to do some renovations around the house, around the room, the area itself. So couldn't do AEW, couldn't do Friday Night SmackDown, but I was able to get some Bulls content in. Of course, you can see that on Bulls Digest. But outside of that, still a whole lot of fun. We're still recording once a week, and of course, huge shout out to the love we get on TikTok, man. TikTok has been huge. Of course, on Twitter as well. It's been a whole lot of fun just getting back into editing clips and just having a whole lot of fun with that as well. So I'm really having a ball. I'm having a blast, and man, it's only heating up, as the road to WrestleMania goes on. And a huge shout out to Justin. What's good, my guy? Man, huge shout out to Justin. Of course, huge shout out to Justin. Follow him, subscribe to Circle of Debate. Circle of Debate comes live. They go live every freaking day. That is no exaggeration. They go live every day. And of course, it's not just wrestling content. You can watch some COD content. Of course, not Call of Duty. What's it called? You could college football. I forgot what the game they were just playing. Oh man, I forgot the game that and I'm sorry, Notorious Dom. I forgot the game that you guys are playing. Was it Fallout? I don't want to say it's Fallout. I don't want to give out just misinfo right here. But a huge shout out to Circle of Debate. I'm telling you, they give out just great content, non-stop content, 24/7. Fallout, Jesus Christ, look at that. Fallout 4, Jesus Christ. I was like, it's not Call of Duty. I was like, before I say Call of Duty and just completely fuck that up. And yeah, I could cuss now, ain't nobody here. So I was like, I gotta let loose. Huge shout out to the Notorious Dom himself. Say his name and he appears. Seeing you without the couch makes it real to me. But I love you, bro. Love your brother. Look, dude, retired Doodoo Brown couches and still got the granny tray tables. Of course, unite, brother. Always appreciate you. Because I'm getting negative today. Look, it's like because we gotta get a little negative today. We gotta get negative. I'm low on sleep. Like the weekends I work OT, and then of course after that, it's just regular work day on the weekday. But my Friday going into Sunday, I'm usually just worn. I'm usually just worn out. So Tuesday, oh man, I sleep good. We sleep good here. My man, my dog. Man, huge shout out. Like I said, just all reverse. Rewind all the way back. Huge shout out to Circle of Debate. Subscribe to Circle of Debate. You will not be disappointed with the content they give you. Is top tier quality. Actually, one day I actually came home from work early and I saw it said the Tim King show. I was like, ooh. And of course, he was just spewing all his sports knowledge. Of course, we talked about we talked about a lot. It was during the trade deadline. Of course, we were talking about how depressed we were. For those that were fans of the Chicago Bulls, of course, you could hear my depression on the YouTube channel. But you could just disappointment all around. We talked about the Washington Wizards possibly being the next team in the East because, man, if Anthony Davis can stay healthy, which you're asking a lot out of him, that team's gonna be wicked. Okay, Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw. We don't care for basketball right now. Monday Night Raw. Look, just to give it to you off rip, to rip the Band-Aid off clean, Bron Breakker is injured. Bron Breakker hurt himself from flipping over the announcement table last week on Raw. As such, and required surgery for a hernia. Of course, this is coming from Wrestle Ops. At least this was posted on Twitter here, and I am on Bleacher Report as well. That was reported. So this is what is being reported. So before anybody's like, "Hey, Izzy, I just want to let you know that Bron Breakker actually." You ever remember? I always tell the story about Derrick Rose. One day I was so happy. I don't know why I was geeked for this random Chicago Bulls game, but Derrick Rose didn't make the game because he like not necessarily jumped on his bed, but he like rolled on his bed and a knife cut open his leg because he was cutting apples in his bed. Like, who does that? It's just like, and now you're out for like a week. I was like, you scrub. But this is like an MVP season. Like, you bum. But like, well, Bron Breakker hurt himself from flipping over the announcement table last week on Raw, and as such, required surgery for a hernia. Yeah, that's tough, man. Yeah, just imagine how heavy is that announcement table, how heavy is that announcement table? Huge shout out to C Fluid. Good evening, sir. Good evening, brother. How are you? Yeah, you. And a huge shout out to C Fluid as well. He turned us up on TikTok, got everybody hot with his CM Punk view, of course, with CM Punk. And now we get to see CM Punk at WrestleMania. So that is really, really, really telling on top of that. But of course, Bron Breakker is out, and that just puts a huge hole in what they had going for him just in future plans. And of course, 28 years old, two-time NXT champion, an absolute dog in the ring, no matter what he does. So he's gonna recover. He's like I said, he's young. He's young. Then we just had this talk with Javon Evans. Like Javon Evans, Bron Breakker, they have like 2 years where they just absolutely suck. You're fine. It's like, or if you have 2 years where you're on the shelf, not necessarily like, gone, and we don't see you, but like you're on that Ricochet schedule, like that WWE Ricochet schedule. Hey man, we need a high flyer, get your ass in there. It's like we need some entertainment, we need the crowd on their feet, one and only. It's like you get Ricochet out there, but you get guys on that schedule where you got nothing for you, no plans for you. You're not in catering, but you're wrestling in matches that aren't necessarily, there's nothing to it. They're pointless, A huge shout out to Justin. I really love this one right here. Someone said that recovery period for a hernia surgery is 4 to 6 weeks. If that's the case, then hopefully he'll actually be back for Mania. That'll actually be dope. It's just when you say that S word, it's just when you say that S word, surgery, you always think, that's it. You always think of the worst case scenario, and by worst case scenario, that means in terms of timeline, in terms of how long you're going to be on the shelf. And honestly, with Bron Breakker, he's young, as they say, as the old folks say, with the young kids and young adults. Oh, he's young, he'll heal quickly. It's like he'll heal quickly. But and hell, look at John Cena. It's like and hell, look at John Cena. But we know Bron Breakker is going to return. He's going to be 100% healthy. He's going to be an absolute dog. But hold on. Ooh, who shout out to C Fluid? Are you going to the chamber at the United Center? Man, that's a good question. Honestly, yes. But that's the thing, though. I don't know if I'm going with Devin. I don't know if I got to persuade my sister, because my sister was like, I don't know if I'm going to go. My sister kind of was just like, I think I'm going to sit this one out. And I asked Devin just recently, but he hasn't given me a surefire answer just yet. So if Devin tells me no, I'm still gonna go by myself. Like honestly, I don't mind. I go to the movies by myself. I can go to a restaurant. It's like I do a lot by myself. So I ain't gonna trip if I go there by myself. But yes, I'm definitely, because if I do go by myself, I'm dropping a bag. You gonna see me with my spinner belt. Get up, Punk. Don't let Finn do this to you. Like that's gonna be me. I'm gonna be in there. there's a random black man climbing the chamber. You know, it's like it's gonna be me. That's me over there. You know, but outside of the foolishness, huge shout out to C Fluid. Have fun. Definitely appreciate you. Yeah, I'm doing everything I can to just go to more events, especially with AEW. Because AEW was just so generous, so kind, and so gracious. You know, even though we're critical about their show, they are just they are so, you know, open to with their company and with their show. You know, they literally are the personification of E for everyone. You know, so I do got to give that to them, even though, you know, stuff can get a little hectic and graphic. I got to give that to them. But on to more depressing matters, because before we get into Monday Night Raw, just two quick notes here. Big E discusses WWE retirement after neck injury in social media post. I'm eternally grateful. Just real quick, just wanted to read this to you guys because, man, I love me some Big E, and I'd be remiss if I went to sleep at night without bringing this. You know, it's like without bringing this up. But Big E went on social media, said, I entered the pro wrestling industry at age 23 with an injury history that included a torn left ACL, torn right ACL, torn left pec, and a broken right patella. At 39, I'm well aware that one day I have to pay the piper. I put my body through a lot, and somehow I feel great. I don't battle daily pain. I'm able to function normally and healthily. I'm eternally grateful for the wonderful career I stumbled into. I pray for all my fellow athletes and performers who have not had the same good fortune. A sincere thank you to everyone who has taken the time to follow my in-ring career. It was an immeasurable gift to get to perform for you all. Oh, say it ain't so, Biggie. Oh, but honestly, I mean, it's true. You shout out to see Fluid. Very so often, WWE actually has an event in Chicago. Exactly, yeah. So I want to always go. You know, it's just like, and I feel like at least once in a while, you know, you will get a Raw, you will get a, but I think I forgot I think it was Survivor Series, the last time they were there because Devin was there. So, oh yeah, definitely gonna make it to Elimination Chamber. But man, Big E retiring, of course. You seen Xavier Woods on social media. Xavier Woods is on Twitter laughing, you know, telling people I told you so. But you gotta heal it up. You gotta heal it up. But you know, Big E said, "I'm content." Well, this was in terms of during Super Bowl week. Big E spoke when asked when he would return. He said, "I'm content." You know, in wrestling, they say never, but right now I'm retired, and that's it for me. So I'm focused on things right now. My career is kind of behind me. I'm someone who is appreciative, and I think I think I had a really good career, and I'm proud of it. Man, that's a legend right there. Not a legend, like in terms of like, you know, The Rock, but just in terms of character, just an absolute legend. Huge shout out to C Fluid. Low key, actually love it when Big E was the muscles for AJ Lee and Dolph. I know he was just such a dog, and then he was playing mind games with Caitlyn, brought her flowers, dipped her down, dipped her down, and then dropped her. It was just like psych, get up out of my face. You know what I'm saying? Like it was. You gotta give a whole lot of love to Big E, man. You shout out to Justin. I feel like this was inevitable. Oh, I know. It just feels like it was just right there to the heart, brother. I feel like this was inevitable. Hopefully, we'll one day get a surprise appearance in the Rumble from Big E 1 year like Edge. Oh yeah, 100%. Like, and this happens to such great people. And honestly, Big E has to retire. Like, you can't risk that. You know, you can't risk dealing with another injury, and then just listening to his injury history itself. Yeah, no, you gotta call it quits. You know, you don't want to risk anything else long term. You don't want to risk anything, you know, that you got going on for yourself now. So, Big E, and you're doing great things. You know, you're doing amazing things right now. And honestly, do you think this would be totally different if Big E didn't win the WWE champion? I just had to ask that question because Big E winning that championship, oh, go ahead, retire, brother. You did everything, you know, you set off to do in WWE. Not only in wrestling, I mean, well, wrestling in its entirety. You know, wrestling in its entirety. You know, Big E has done it all in terms of not necessarily like winning the Royal Rumble, but you know, you've won the WWE champion. You know, you've wrestled at WrestleMania. You're one of the longest reigning tag team champions in WWE history. You're a Hall of Famer. You know, it's just like you already solidified yourself as a Hall of Famer. I don't care what nobody say. You know, you have already solidified yourself as a Hall of Big E. Now, if Big E doesn't go in by himself, of course, the New Day, they're Hall of Famers. Yes, I don't care what anybody says. WWE Hall. You know, it's like we can do this all day. Like I love me some New Day, and yes, that's a little bit there's some bias there, but I don't like them now. But you know, there's a little bit of bias there, but I mean, that's all. That's Big E got a Hall of Fame career. You know, well, Big E has done too much. Huge shout out to C Fluid. Big E is one of only 4 black WWE champions. Exactly, and I don't like it. It wasn't as impactful as Kofi Kingston's. You know, Kofi Kingston's, they was throwing babies in there. We knew Kofi Kingston was gonna win. If Kofi Kingston didn't win, oh yeah, something was going on. You know, it was like something was happening behind the scenes, you know, but I felt like everybody kind of had an inkling Kofi Kingston was going to be Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. And even seeing the rise of Kofi Kingston throughout that time, you're just like, oh my God, you know, it's just like he could actually do something. And then you look over, it's kind of like a passing of the torch, like, hey, who else could do this? You know, it's just like the New Day and they took until Brock Lesnar came into the fray. But then, you know, you kind of start looking at Big E and Xavier. It's like, okay, Kofi spread his wings. Who's next? Who's next? Who's seen Hip Hop Harry? You know, it's just like, but and then you see the work Big E put in, and Big E, I thought him and Apollo did great work. I thought that's what really kicked it off. Big E hitting that splash on Apollo Crews or Apollo Creed. I forgot what his name was now. You know, it's just like, but him hitting the splash on Apollo and then just staring at him like, you wanted this. I didn't want to do this to you. You asked for this. You know, it's just like he's just literally just jawing at him. A huge shout out to Justin. Sucks that both Big E and Kofi Kingston's WWE title reigns ended at the hands of Brock Lesnar. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. I seen a TikTok. Somebody said, just imagine as a black person, like your greatest achievement. You know, it's just like you finally win the Nobel Peace Prize. Before you can even get on the mic to say a word, you hear Brock Lesnar's theme music. You're like, don't. You're like, oh, see, man, here it goes. Like, now I'm getting F5 because I tried to save the world. You know, it's like, what am I doing here? The reigning, defending Nobel Peace Prize winner. You're like, what is this? Like, what did you even do when you beating me up to win a Peace Prize? Okay, I'm sorry. I took this. I'm in a rabbit hole. I'm sorry. It's like this is why I can't call this the heel turn 30 because I just be jawing, I just be talking, I just be going off, and it's unnecessary. I haven't even gotten into Raw yet. I literally just got the Bron Breaker and Big E, and we 18 minutes in. So look, we're gonna fly. We're gonna fly through here because honestly, I do got a lot to get off my chest. Honestly, I do love seeing AJ Lee. Every time I hear "Light It Up," you know, I gotta hit my little dance. You know, I gotta hit my little "Light It Up" dance. But I don't like. I mean, granted, you know, AJ Lee has to get a Intercontinental title shot, or she has to win the IC title at Mania. That's what I'm hoping for. So, you know, to get AJ Lee and Becky Lynch at Elimination Chamber is, you know, sure. You know, it's just like, yeah, you know, sure, in a non-title, I believe that's a non-title match. But even then, I don't know why she wouldn't want to defend it in Chicago. You know, that's my thought. That was just my thought. Because at least that's what I was going to. Wait, no, actually, wait, hold on. Yeah, well, actually, she is defending it. Oh, yeah, she is defending it. Now, when she said it, and she was like, well, if I beat you, that means I get a shot at the title, right? That's why I was like, why would she fight in a why would she fight for a shot at the title? You know, that's where I was getting at. So I was confused with AJ Lee's promo itself because she's just like, well, if I beat you, I mean, what do I get? You know, because if I beat you, that means I get a shot at the title, right? And obviously she went up and she beat her in War Games, of course. You know, it's finally drawing this conclusion for itself. It's finally coming back to me. But outside of that, honestly, I'm loving the fact that AJ Lee and Becky Lynch get to go at it, and we're gonna see AJ Lee at Mania. You know, and huge shout out to Justin. He says, I feel like whenever AJ Lee and Becky's next match happens, Becky is going over on the count that Becky lost to AJ twice. Yeah, honestly, that's just how it's gonna go. Becky Lynch is literally losing her sanity, over AJ Lee. So I would think this would turn into a Becky Lynch dub, but I don't mind seeing AJ Lee just going over there and just beating the absolute brakes off of, but just not absolute brakes, but just continuing to show that, she's just one step ahead or just above, Becky Lynch in terms of just having that veteran mindset and always getting being one step ahead of her. I don't like her being Maxine's freaking bodyguard. That's something I don't like. What's going on there? First off, let's just jump right into it. I don't care. I know we're gonna go out of order, but hey, look, I love me some Natty. I love Natty. I remember going back and forth and saying, like, yeah, I love me some Maxine Dupree, but I feel like Natty should be this badass, beat down, I'm gonna pretzel you if you talk back to me type of person. And she is. She definitely is. Natty is an absolute dog, and I love it. As I said before, I hope this turns into a mid-card run. I hope she goes off and does some damage. And Maxine, this had to happen. It's like this had to happen. I'm happy that this doesn't hurt anybody in no way, shape, or form. Natty they just wrestled and beat the brakes off each other. Then Natty just continuously destroyed Maxine Dupree. She's a heel. And it's Natty. Natty Neidhart, just Natty and Natty, and she is serious, and I love it. And she wrestled Maxine Dupree. And I love that even more. It's just like, and I love that even more. Look, I want to see so much more of Natty. It's like I want to see so much more of Natty. And not just on NXT, not just on AAA. WWE, SmackDown, Raw, one of the two. It's like because the way they've been doing her, well, they've always been doing her dirty. So I ain't got I'm happy that she's finally doing something of substance. With her and her gimmick. Huge shout out to Justin. Looks like we're on the road to an eventual tag match. It's going to be weird to see Natty and Becky team after Natty eliminated Becky in the Royal Rumble. Exactly. And I hope they bring that up. It's like, and I hope they bring that up too, because if you just gloss over it and they're just like, oh, well, we're a tag team now. Whoa, hold up. It's like we're getting whiplash now. It's like this is still a problem here. She smiled at you. She death stared you when she eliminated you. We seen it. We see the camera zoomed in on you. We couldn't avoid it. So honestly, even if they do have a tag match, honestly, I think this only helps Maxine Dupree a whole lot more. The more Maxine Dupree is in the ring with legends, let's be honest. Maxine Dupree is in the ring with legends, Becky Lynch, Natty, and now soon to be AJ Lee. That's nice. This is good. This is really good for Maxine Dupree. So I'm loving this. It only gets better from here. Huge shout out to C Fluid. I love the new gimmick, but I hate to say it. But I believe that she'll never get the same results from. But I believe that we will never get the same results from her. Yeah, honestly, Natty's time is pretty much up. Saying Natty's hanging on by a thread, and I don't mean that in like Natty's done for. Throw a knife in her, she's cooked. It's like nothing like that, or she's washed. I don't think she's washed at all. But I'm saying like as C Fluid says, I don't think WWE is going to give her that opportunity. If I had a promotion and I'm just starting it up and I still have a bunch of young talent that's still, looking to make a name and find themselves into the wrestling business, why not give Natty Neidhart a call? Hey, he'll hold my title. It's like hold this title. Be the leader in my women's locker room. Natty is the female Brooklyn Brawler. Loss after loss. How could you, man? Why are you just so blunt, man? Why are you so blunt? And that's all it is. Loss after loss. After loss after loss after loss. And it sucks, man. And she don't deserve that. She don't deserve that at all. We do got to get into this tag match though, because I'm sorry. Can I show it? How about this? I won't show it. I'll pause it. I'll pause it when I'll pause it when it happens because this is like what the hell, It's just like this was just completely like what the hell, and I know y'all know what y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Oh, look at that, man. Oh, it's even worse when you pause it. It's even worse when you pause it, man. Look, now granted, this stuff happens. Oh, this stuff happens. This stuff like this happens in wrestling. But ooh, this is bad. This was bad. I was like, man, if you time this perfectly, this could be evil. Like this would be a really awesome spot. But oh, that was dirty. That was as soon as I heard the clap, as soon as I heard the smack, and I seen Otis go down, and I see Jey Uso go up. I was like, oh yeah, yeah. And this is I'm not, talking about anybody's like in ring work. Everybody in this match this is an awesome match. Like I ain't got nothing negative to say about the match at all. It was just this part right here. I was just like, oh, you almost had it. You gotta be quicker than that. You gotta be quicker. Oh, it was so bad. It was so, but honestly, the match was a whole lot of fun. My favorite part of the whole match, I don't care what anybody say. Look, you gotta give it to Akira Tozawa going back to back on the suicide dives, comes back in, just like giving the encore. I'm like, oh yeah, this is hard. I was like, buddy, going crazy. Like that was amazing. Akira Tozawa, that turned me up. I was like, that got me out of my seat. It's just like that was something that if I'm at a live event, oh yeah, I'm teeing up. Akira Tozawa had all of us lit. So, but honestly, just a good match, a really good match overall. And so I seen Big Jim got a busted lip, but hey, it's cool. It's cool. Put some ice on the big dog. You'll be fine. But like I said, I hope Jey Uso doesn't get a lot of criticism for that. He's fine. He is fine. Jey Uso's perfectly fine. He's just overplayed. He's getting a lot of that. He's getting his cousin. He's getting the treatment of his cousin right now in terms of not necessarily over pushed, but we see you too much, brother. We're sick of yeeting. We're sick of doing the encores. That was one of the worst Royal Rumble performances I've seen. You went from winning the Royal Rumble the year prior to becoming a laughing stock, the very next year, dancing, the gimmick that turned you up, that got you that spot last year, that got you the chance to be able to win at the Royal Rumble, was the same reason that got you eliminated and embarrassed, in this year's Royal Rumble. And I'm sorry to say it, but it just got overplayed. Jey Uso just got overplayed. And it's cool, to see the kids all hyped. It's cool to dance with the kids, have fun, and do your little thing. But at the end of the day, it gets old. There's a time when you just got to buckle up and wrestle. And that Royal Rumble was abysmal for Jey Uso. Huge shout out to C Fluid. Unfortunately, when you have to work for, oh yeah, I already read that. Sorry, but yeah, they don't want to take care of you. They don't want to take care of you at all. Unfortunately, when you work for a company for a long time, they just don't want to take care of you. That's a fact. You can definitely look at Natalia, Natty Neidhart. I'm trying to think. I thought Mickie James was a vet there for a while until the whole Piggy James, the whole Piggy James foolishness started taking place. Huge shout out to C Fluid. Real talk. Otis has been in WWE for a good minute. His old partner Tucker has retired from wrestling. Oh yeah, show has. Otis, hey, people forget he was a Money in the Bank champion, man. Otis, a Money in the Bank champion, like he was a Mandy Rose Mandy Rose bagger, a bagger of Mandy Rose. It's like however you want to phrase it. Hey, Otis was winning. Like there was a point in time Otis was winning. Otis could do no wrong. So even when Otis lose, he win. Has Otis ever been a heel? I think he has. Oh, I think he has. It's just spacing me. I want to say yes, and because I want to say I'm really confident in that he was a heel before, but what's it called? Yeah, Otis. There's a whole lot Otis could do. You know, and I like seeing a lot of these wrestlers' backgrounds. Wrestlers that love not only WWE, not only grew up watching WWE, but also have just been elite athletes and just elite wrestlers in itself. Like Dolph Ziggler will wrestle somebody if you Dolph Ziggler could wrestle somebody if he wants to. You know, it's like Eddie Guerrero, the infamous Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle story, where Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle, I forgot what they're arguing about. Eddie Guerrero tries to go for a double leg takedown. Kurt Angle just completely stops it, and they ask Eddie like, "Why did you try to go for a takedown on an Olympian?" You know, it's like on Kurt Angle of all people. Why Kurt Angle? Huge shout out to C Fluid. In my opinion, Jay has taken Montez Ford's gimmick anyway. Hmm. In my opinion, Jay has taken Montez Ford's gimmick in. You might have said something, C Fluid. You might have said something, C Fluid. I don't know. You might be on to something. We might have to look tomorrow. I was planning on doing a longer. I wasn't gonna do an NXT review. I was just gonna do a as the circle of debate call it, like a flagship show where I can, instead of 30 minutes, I'm gonna go on for like a grip, an hour and some change, just talking about all the news and notes in wrestling. But I think you might have hit something there. I don't know, man, because there was a point in time Montez Ford was hot. He could do no wrong. Like we were waiting on. Oh man, why am I spacing on the names? I know it's Angelo Dawkins, Montez Ford. I don't know why I was about to say the primetime players. I'm like, whoa, that's a throwback. Jeez. Why am I spacing on my man's team name? It's like, what am I doing here? Because it's like, and that's the thing. It's not like I've been watching this whole time, following them 24/7. Jesus Christ. Street Profits. Jeez. Like, this whole time, I'm like, prime time? Thug time? Thugnificent? Like, I'm like, gee, like, brain farts, man. Brain farts all day. But, yeah, there was a point in time. We wanted the Street Profits to split. We wanted Montez Ford to go off on his own. And we were planning U.S. championship runs with Montez Ford. Yeah, that kind of got switched over to Jey Uso. And Jey Uso ain't doing anything any different than what Montez Ford was doing. And Montez Ford, he was giving us some superb frog splashes. Some frog splashes that were just out of this world. You know, and then Jey Uso, I mean, he turned us up. He turned the crowd up. I'll give him that. And he, just when you look at it, he was riding on the coattails of his cousin, if we're going to be honest here. I mean, if it wasn't for good old Roman Reigns and the Bloodline storyline and the work that they put in there, you know, Jey Uso definitely wouldn't have gotten that rub. But we do got to give credit where credit is due. Jey Uso did some great work, and he did great work as champion too, IC champion and WWE champion. So we got to give Jey Uso some credit. But honestly, yeah, Montez Ford. There was a point in time Montez Ford was going on a tear. It was going on an amazing run. This was before he was buff. Like this was still skinny Montez Ford, and we were expecting him to go on a U.S. title run and do some damage by himself, and we didn't see that happen. But yeah, it did happen to Jey Uso rather quickly. I don't know. You got a point there. You got a point there, brother. You got a point there. Oh man. Okay, I'm sorry. You broke me. Let's. Like I said, I'm gonna go back to that. I'm gonna talk about that one tomorrow. We saw Stephanie McCare talk about Liv Morgan. Talk to Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. I'm not bilingual, so I didn't know what Stephanie McCare or Dominic Mysterio was saying. Well, Stephanie McCare told you what Dom was saying, but huge shout out to C Fluid. Do the research from the glasses, vest, and Montez would used to do the one arm instead of two, as well as being in the crowd. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, he was yanking on the ropes like, but he was a dog. Like, and I don't know, there was just so much. We got so many memorable moments with Montez Ford too. You know, it's just like he's an absolute monster. you know, and he's shown his athletic display. I mean, now he's fat. You know, so let's be honest here. Montez Ford, he a little hefty. You know, it's like he a little. I know I talked about Swerve Strickland being on the bigger side. Montez Ford is on the bigger side. You know, it's like Montez Ford a little big. So I definitely got to see what this frog splash is like now before we start talking about pushing him now. And I don't even know if we can push it. Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry. That's my last fat joke. I'm sorry. But outside of that, we got to talk about Stephanie McCare because things are heating up. Stephanie McCare had to smack the taste out of Dominic Mysterio's mouth, but of course, this is pretty much leading to Stephanie McCare and Liv Morgan. And Liv Morgan, you know, hopefully picking Stephanie McCare. I don't want to see Liv Morgan beat Stephanie McCare. I want Stephanie to hold this title for as long as possible. You know, like I said, I just believe that this is maybe I'm just too much of a fan, but until she fights Rhea Ripley, because I think that's pinnacle for Stephanie McCare. I don't know who's her who's heavy competition. Like Liv Morgan's dope and all, but you know, Liv Morgan hasn't persuaded me once that she should be Stephanie McCare for the title. Now, of course, WWE is going to do their own thing. They're going to make their own decisions, and they're going to force us to see Liv Morgan beat Stephanie McCare. But honestly, when I look at Stephanie and I see the work that she's put in, and of course the work that we continue to see her do, as well as everybody else in the women's division, I don't see there being a lot of fight. You know, I was like, I don't see there being a lot of competition there, honestly. And that's just from me just looking from the outside looking in. But huge shout out to Rhea Ripley versus Lyra Valkyria and Ivy Nile. Rhea Ripley, of course, got the win. Of course, we're not gonna go through the elimination chamber without seeing Rhea Ripley. You know, she's gonna, of course, be in this elimination chamber. I just hate that it came to the expense of Lyra Valkyria. Really wanted to see Lyra Valkyria in the elimination chamber. Hopefully we can see a turnaround. But even there's a note here as well. Lyra Valkyria was one of the breakout stars in 2025 of Unreal, and to see her fading as WrestleMania 42 approaches is disappointing. Yeah, that's 100% fact. It says seeing her fading as WrestleMania 42 approaches is disappointing. Yep. And not only her being a star of Unreal, I haven't watched Unreal yet, or I don't know if I will watch it, but seeing her cry, and she didn't even break down. She was just like, you know, you go out there and you don't feel the spark, and you know that's okay. And I won't necessarily say, oh, well, I relate to that. And I don't relate to that. You know, it's just like I don't, but I can relate to, and I feel like we all can relate to doing an awful job at something you love and still having to do something else the next day, you know, or still having to do something that very same day and pretty much having to pretend like nothing happened. You know, that sucks. You know, that sucks. Just imagine for people working multiple jobs. You know, there's people that work multiple jobs, and they could have a job that's an absolute favorite, and they do something that, you know, that discouraged them, or they do something that just completely disappoints them in more ways than one. It just breaks them down emotionally. And you still got to go to work the next day. You know, it's like you still got to do it, or, you know, turn around and pretend like nothing happened. That's tough. And to see Lyra Valkyria just talk about it and even struggle to drink that water. Like, it's just like, and I'm not clowning her, but it's rough. You know, you just want to hug her through the screen. And to see her, and to realize that she won't be doing nothing during WrestleMania is, you know, is also disappointing as well. So hopefully that does turn around. Ivy, now your time coming. Just wait. Ivy, now your time coming. Just wait. I'm gonna pray for you. Unfortunately, I believe Liv might be Steph at Mania. Look, I'm hoping that I could put some money on Mania. They wouldn't let me put some money on the Royal Rumble. I'm trying to see if I can put some money on Mania, honestly. Of course, we got Finn Balor and CM Punk going back and forth, and we will see CM. See, that Cleveland fan thought they was going to get a title match tonight. They thought they was going to get a title match. Adam Pearce was just like, you know what? CM Punk, Finn Balor, elimination chamber. He said, we're going to Chicago. We're going to the rack with it. And of course, CM Punk gonna win. You know, it's like CM Punk's definitely gonna win. You know, the last time I saw CM Punk was in. Oh well, I saw CM Punk at the Royal Rumble, but me and Devin saw CM Punk at the Civic Center. That's this place in Hammond, Indiana. It's this little. It's not a little spot, but it's a spot in Hammond, Indiana, where we have all of our regional basketball games, some like smaller concerts, but wrestling, WWE Live used to go there. I remember talking to Justin Roberts, and I was like, "Yeah, Hammond, Indiana." He was like, "Hammond Civic Center." I was like, "You know where I stay?" It's like, but CM Punk took on the Shield 1v3 and beat them all, and I was like, "Brother," I'm like this, like at the time I was like, "This is incredible." Looking back at it, yeah, didn't make any sense. But CM Punk taking on Finn Balor is gonna be awesome. Finn Balor is gonna put on a classic. He's gonna put on a clinic. And don't see you winning, buddy. I'm sorry. Judgment Day gonna continue to be titleless, because if you think that WWE is gonna waste CM Punk versus Roman Reigns at Mania, nah, y'all tweaking. Young bath salts. This match is happening at Mania. I'm just scared because our boy a little injury prone. Oh, sorry about that. I'm never tired talking about wrestling, but honestly, you heard it from C Fluid, himself. No, actually, huge shout out to Notorious Dom. He was like, we're getting a guy that wrestles for 6 minutes and another guy that wrestles for 4 minutes and then takes 2 weeks off. Like that's a perfect description of this match. Honestly, that needs to be a quote. We need to have that somewhere. I need to have that on the wall, plastered right behind me. It's gonna go right there. Hold on, because not only do I take notes on what happened as well, I also like to go back on. I also like to look at different sites to see also just views and opinions as to what took place. And even looking at this, look at this picture. Jeez, look at Natty. Just look at Natty. I'm trying to zoom in. Jesus Christ. There it goes. There it goes. Look at Natty. Look at Natty. That's what I like to see. But of course, that match ended in a no contest. And I'm happy. I don't want to look. I actually tried to talk about this with one of my coworkers, and she was like, I like the El Grande Americanos that they have now instead of Chad Gable's El Grande Americano. And it seems like that's the consensus around. And Corey Graves even brought that up. But that cutter, man, hold on. Let me see if I can. I'm not going to play it, but let's see if I can get the screenshot like we did with Otis. Because that OG cutter was top tier. Like you can't do anything, but you can't do. I don't know how you're going to top that, buddy. Ooh. My bad if I blasted y'all ear. But yeah, we're gonna do this frame by frame so I don't get flagged for nothing. But geez, look at this. Legendary. Like, for those, I used to have this segment called the Sports World Breakdown. Hey, we're gonna break this down. Look at this. I don't know how far you have to, like, the precision of this. Jey Uso and Otis couldn't even time a super kick properly. No, let's do this again. I'm sorry. Look at this. We're gonna replay this. Look at how far Javon Evans had to jump to time this perfectly. Because as I said, Jey Uso and Otis couldn't time a super kick properly. I'm working on it. Ludwig actually took over the gimmick from Chad, and yeah, that's why a lot of people say that. Well, from the consensus that I got from my Hispanic companion was that Ludwig, he actually dug into the heritage, and what I mean by that is he speaks a little Spanish, he can wrestle like a luchador, and he has the athleticism to do so. And Chad Gable, he has the athleticism to do so as well, but he was more so being he's being a little stereotypical. He was being a little stereotypical. And me saying little is being a little generous. But Look at how, look at the precision. Look at this. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh man. Right on the Slim Jim logo. Like, and even then, like looking at because when I see stuff like this, and then I always go back to Lyra Valkyria's Unreal, where she's like, we don't rehearse this, they tell us what to do and we go out and do it. We talk about it and we go out and do it. So we don't rehearse this. We just see how it goes. And that was just perfectly timed. That was beautiful. Javon Evans just continues to show that he is just the future, the future of wrestling. At this point, his time is on point. He don't, outside of his mistake with Randy, that was like the big no, the big blunder. Man, he could do no wrong. He could do no wrong. I didn't like the triple threat match though. I really, really didn't like the triple threat match. I actually thought it was a lot going on, and it was unnecessary, especially with the Vision coming into the fray. It was just a whole lot of extra stuff happening with this match. But I'm happy that LA Knight did get the win, especially after LA Knight got destroyed, at the tail end of the match, and still was able to pin Austin Theory for the win, after getting tsunamied. But on the flip side, like I said, I'm happy LA Knight got the win. I was just talking about, he's going to be in there with Randy Orton as well. I do got to throw that in there. Randy Orton is going to be in the Elimination Chamber as well. But LA Knight, he's just, how do they call him? I forgot what they called. It's not Triple H. But Triple H, I think Triple H said this to somebody, but it's like, you're just the guy to get beat by the guy. Like something like that, where you're just a stepping stool, and that's it. Sucks. Like I don't want to say that about LA Knight, but I don't want to say that about LA Knight, but that's exactly what it is. LA Knight has the crowd behind him. LA Knight has the fan base. He has the wrestling ability. He has the talking ability, the promo ability. Like he could do everything under the sun, and yet you don't expect him to do a thing. You don't expect him to do nothing at all. And that's what sucks the most about LA Knight. You could be behind him 24/7. I'm telling you this now. I love when LA Knight comes out there. I love when LA Knight spits a promo. I love when LA Knight goes out there and, but that's the thing. If he wins, he wins. But if he doesn't, I don't freak out. I don't complain. Is it too early? And I know I'm overusing this sound. But is it too early to call this man Dolph Ziggler? Like this man is reaching Dolph Ziggler territory. Like that's how I see it. This man is like right now where he's in that lane where you're behind him, you love him, his song comes on, you're geeked, you see him on commercials. Now Dolph Ziggler not some, but like you see him on commercials, you start seeing him more often. You're a fan. The fans are insanely behind him, and yet nothing. It's just like absolutely nothing. Now, Dolph Ziggler, yeah, he was able to be a world heavyweight champion. Like you got to give him some love there. Money in the Bank winner, beats Alberto Del Rio, then becomes world heavyweight champion. Like, yeah, I can remember that, but I can't remember Street Profits. It's like, but Dolph Ziggler reached the pinnacle at a point. LA Knight just hasn't yet. That's just a question. Will he? And with this timeline, no. with this timeline, with CM Punk, Roman Reigns coming back whenever he wants. Seth Rollins set to return at any point in time. The rise of Bron Breakker, the Gunther, of course, just absolutely destroying everybody. Where's there room for LA Knight? It's like where is there room for LA Knight? So that's a tough. That's my LA Knight rant, and that was Monday Night Raw too. I gotta end it on that note. Look, I ended it off hot. I know I started a little bit rocky, but I ended it off hot. I'm actually gonna clip that one. That's actually gonna be a good one. By clip it, I mean just when I'm talking about clipping videos, I'm not trying to talk about I'm getting views. I like having a conversation. Because it's weird because when we do the WWE videos and we post them and me and Devin have a whole lot of fun with that, we're able to have a conversation. AEW fans, they're calling Devin gay. Like, they're calling, like, they question my intelligence in wrestling. You know, it's like they just really have a whole lot of negative things to say. You know, it's just like one person in the Darby Allin video when we were like, I was asking like, why does Darby Allin hate his body so much? Like, we want to see Darby Allin wrestle for a long time, so you know, maybe he should calm it down a bit. Somebody underneath commented and said, Darby Allin has vocalized that he wants to retire early anyway. Well, that shows that you don't care about the boy because, brother, you know, I'm talking about now. You know, it's like we want to see him wrestle for a really long time. You know, if he wants to retire early, that's fine, but you can retire early and not be able to walk either. Came too late. I gotta edit that one. That came too late. I gotta edit that one. Okay, I'm done talking. I edited it off. I ended it off with the LA Knight run. I should have just edited it out there. Huge shout out to C Fluid. Great recap as always. Thank you so much, brother. And of course, thank you for sliding in and joining the boy. Huge shout out to Justin as well and Notorious Dom for sliding in as well. And also go see them on Circle of Debate. They'll be live tomorrow for the NXT live watch party. That's a whole lot of fun. I'm probably be in the chat. I know I'll be bouncing around after work, but I will potentially do a flagship as Circle of Debate call it. I'll do a show where I'm probably gonna go live for an hour or some change around this time. And I'll probably stay. I'll stay up. I'll stay up this time. It won't be 30 to 50 minutes. I'll be up for a grip. And so, and also, like I said, also got a plug. Matter of fact, let's do that right here. Shameless plug here because I figure I gotta mix them together. I gotta intertwine them because even when I make wrestling, even when I make wrestling remarks on the YouTube channel, a lot of people get it. A lot of people understand it, and we have some great conversations as well on it too. So for those that don't know, real fast before we log off, of course, your boy is hired by Bulls Digest themselves. Huge shout out to Bulls Digest. This is actually my recent video, just dropped a recent video. He said the quiet part out loud. This is referring to the Chicago Bulls GM saying that he wants to rebuild and start fresh with the Chicago Bulls team so they can be competitive in the future. And quite frankly, it's a load of garbage. It is just a load of garbage. Like, we don't have to go live and watch the whole thing. This is something I can watch and not get, flagged or anything like that. But, just going on and just showing you what the production looks like and what goes on, of course, have a small little intro there. But that's what we do there. And, of course, it's a whole lot of fun in itself. Let's look at the comments. Here's my situation. We traded down, obviously. Okay, Giddy with a buster. Just why? Fired up. Okay, cool. Sometimes I'd be so terrified. It looks down, it says 13 comments. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, I'd be so scared. I'd be so scared. Like, but I love when people comment too. I love negative comments as well. I just be, I gotta peek through. It's like I gotta peek through. But honestly, negative comments help so much in terms of making future videos. My boy Shaq was on a generational run just recently because while all of us were busy and roaming all over the place, Shaq took over. There's 3 of us that work at this website as well, at this Bulls Digest YouTube channel. So it's not just me. This was my video, and then my last video was right here, which was 7 days ago. So within a 5-day span, I got to do better. But the views are there. The views are there, not only for me, 828 views for me, Shaq, 7,000, just an absolute dog. And so, shameless plug, just thought I'd throw that out there as well. And so, huge shout out to you guys. Huge shout out to C Fluid. So you're saying that you're bouncy. Look, we always bouncy and flexible. Like bouncy and flexible. That's how we keep it here. So honestly, huge shout out to C Fluid. Appreciate you as always. Huge shout out to Justin. Huge shout out to Notorious Dom and Circle of Debate. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.